Assalamualaikum. So today my group will be presenting about our topic, which is knowledge, attitude and practices on food safety among food handlers at Sendayan Metropark Negeri Sembilan. So our group member consists of me, myself, which is Irina Izati binti Wisri, Nah Yonzen, Bram Kaira binti Zainal and Ritika Sri. So the content of our research include introduction, objective, research design and methodology, result, discussion, conclusion and recommendation. So let me start first with the introductions. For the introduction, the main problem statement here is the increasing number of food poisoning throughout the year. And as you can see here in the data, the Department of Statistics Malaysia stated that the food poisoning cases in Negeri Sembilan have risen from 50% of 2015 to 63.6% in 2019.
Hi, my name is Ritika and my matric number would be 23 DBT19 and 1068. So now we are going to look on objective and research question. So there are 4 research question and 4 objective. So research question number 1 would be, what is the level of knowledge toward food safety and hygiene among food handlers? So the objective for the first research question would be to evaluate the level of knowledge toward food safety and hygiene among food handlers. Research question number 2 would be, what is the level of attitude towards food safety and hygiene among food handlers? Objective for research question number 2 would be to evaluate the level of attitude towards food safety and hygiene among food handlers. Research question number 3 would be, what is the level of practice toward food safety and hygiene among food handlers? So the objective for research question number 3 would be to evaluate the level of practice toward food safety and knowledge among food handlers. And the last research question would be, is there any interrelationship between knowledge, attitude and practice? So the objective for the last research question would be to identify the interrelationship between knowledge, attitude and practice. So the research hypothesis for our survey is there is no interrelationship between knowledge, attitude and practice. So next would be our research design. So our research is a quantitative research, which is survey research. The sampling method that we use for our survey would be a purposive sampling method. And the sample for our survey would be the 120 food handlers in Sendayan Metropark. So we conduct our survey through a questionnaire. Questionnaire consists of 4 parts: Part A, Part B, Part C and Part D. Part A will be the socio-demographic of food handlers. We will be asking on gender, age, educational level and so on. Part B will be testing on food handlers' knowledge. Part C will be testing on food handlers' attitude and Part D will be testing on food handlers' practices. So we distribute our questionnaire by printing QR code for the food handlers to access the Google form. So for the data analysis, we have used the IBM SPSS version 25 to analyze our data. So for the research question number 1, number 2 and number 3, the level of knowledge, level of attitude and level of practice, the data were collected through questionnaire. Each of the data were analyzed through descriptive statistic, which is the mean, standard deviation and graph through SPSS software. So the last research question for interrelationship, the data were collected from the data of knowledge, attitude and practice. After collecting the data from the SPSS, the data were analyzed by using Pearson correlation coefficient test to identify the interrelationship between knowledge, attitude and practice.
Thank you so much, Ritika. And hi, my name is Na Yong-Sen. So, before the real research is started, a pilot test has been conducted in Cafe Lawang Polytechnic Nilai. The sample size of the pilot test is 10%. Before the questionnaire is been handed to the respondents, the questionnaire has done the validity and reliability test, where the questionnaire has been checked by a language expert and continues to the pilot test. From the table of the Cronbench alpha value for all the items for the 3 sections, we get a result of 0.793, which is in a good strength of association. While according to Glenn, this value is acceptable. That's all for the pilot test. The next will carry on by my groupmate. Thank you.
So in this part, I'm going to explain about the socio-demographic characteristic of the respondent. Out of 120 respondents, most of them are female and most of them ages between 18 to 29 years old. The majority of them are Malay and have higher educational level. Approximately around 57.5% of the respondent has been in the sector for less than 1 year, and quite surprisingly, some of the respondents did not attend food handling training and did not have anti-typhoid vaccination. Attending food handling training and anti-typhoid vaccination is important to avoid typhoid fever and to avoid illness from spreading to the other people.
This is the result for Part B. Part B will be testing on food handlers' knowledge. For Part B, it will be consist 12 questions. So each of the questions were divided into 5 groups. So the first group will be personal hygiene. Number 2 will be cross contamination. Group number 3 would be foodborne disease. Group number 4 would be time and temperature control, and group number 5 would be food safety definition. Group personal hygiene consists 2 questions. Cross contamination consists 4 questions. Foodborne disease consists 3 questions. Time and temperature control consists 2 questions, and food safety definition consists 1 question. So all the data were calculated in SPSS through descriptive statistic, which is mean. So the total personal hygiene mean is 0.81. The total cross contamination mean would be 0.52. So the mean for foodborne disease would be 0.80. Follow up for time and temperature control, the mean would be 0.18, and the food safety definition mean would be 0.96. So according to our mean score interpretation, if the mean falls between 0 to 0.3, it will be classified as poor knowledge. If the mean falls between 0.4 to 0.7, the knowledge will be classified as moderate, and if the mean falls between 0.8 to 1.0, the knowledge will be classified as good. So overall, from our result, the total mean score for knowledge will be 0.62. So from this we can conclude that food handlers has moderate knowledge toward food safety and hygiene.
Thank you, Ridiga. This is the result of the level of attitude of food handlers. For the attitude section, we will have 10 questions on a Likert scale. So, first of all, we can see that the average mean for personal hygiene category is 4.26, which is in a good level of attitude of food handlers. In this category, the respondent does not aware that they cannot wear jewelry and watch while handling the food and get a mean of 3.68, which is a moderate level of attitude towards the personal hygiene. Comparatively, the respondent believe that their hand must be clean all the time while handling the food to ensure food safety, with a mean of 4.53, which is a good level of attitude on personal hygiene. Next, the average mean of utensils cleanliness is 3.94, which is also in a good level of attitude of food handlers. On the other hand, the mean for food safety category is 3.72, which is on a moderate level of attitude of food handlers, which means that they have a lower attitude on food safety comparing to other category. Lastly, the average mean for cross-contamination is 4.33, which indicates a good level of attitude on food handlers. From the table, we can see that the lowest mean score is 3.72, while the highest is 4.33 comparing all categories. This means that the respondent have a lower level of attitude on food safety compared to cross-contamination. Lastly, by By grouping all of the questions, we will have a total mean score of 4.15, which indicates a good level of attitude on food handlers according to the score interpretation level. Thank you.
Thanks now for the explanation. Next, this is the result, the level of practice of food handler. In practice section, we have 10 questions on the Likert scale. So first of all, by referring to the table, the average mean of personal hygiene category is 4.33, which is in the good level practice of food handler. Then, the average mean for utensil cleanliness is 4.32, which is also in the good level of practice among food handler. Other than that, the mean of food safety category is 3.27, which is in the moderate level of practice, which means that they have a lower practice of food practice comparing to other category. Last but not least, the average mean for the cross-contamination is 4.18, which indicate the good level of practice among food handler. So for the total mean score, categorical grouping is 4.18, which indicate the good level of practice among food handler. Question number 3 under personal hygiene category showed the highest mean value of 4.60. The respondent believed that their hand must wash with soap after using the toilet and before preparing or serving food. In the contrast, question number 7 having the smallest mean value of 3.27 because most of the respondents defrost raw material like chicken by just leaving them in the sink. That's all. Thank you.
So this is the data for interrelationship between knowledge, attitude, and practices. As you can see here, Pearson method are used and we use significant level of 0.01. So this is the score interpretation that we use, and based on this correlation obtained for knowledge and attitude, which is 0.321 with zero significant. This indicates that the relationship between knowledge and attitude are positively moderate. Next, the correlation between attitude and practices obtained are 0.788, which indicates that the relationship are positively high. And lastly, the correlation between knowledge and practices are positively moderate, as there are value obtained was 0.445, and all of these relationship is significant because the significant level that we obtain is 0. Thus, to conclude, null hypothesis is rejected.
In the conclusion, the finding of this study indicate knowledge level of food handler did influence their attitude and practice in handling food safety. Based on the table, the level of knowledge on the respondent is moderate, which is 0.6. For the level of attitude and practice among food handler is good, and the value of mean is 4.15 for attitude and 4.18 for practice. There is a positive correlation between knowledge, attitude, and practice. The correlation is significant at the 0.1. Lastly, the null hypothesis is rejected because there is an interrelationship between knowledge, attitude, and practice. For the recommendation, street food vendor training should be prioritized to improve the safety of food safety because based on the food safety and the level attitude and practice show the lowest mean value comparing to other category. Then, the food handler need to take steps to improve street food store operating condition and facilities like providing clean protected structure, access to potable water, and efficient waste collection. Other than that, the authorities need to regularly check if there is a food handler vaccinated or not. Next, the scope should be expanded of the entire region to obtain more data because food street is trending, so consumer can know what area has awareness of knowledge, attitude, and practice. Last but not least, to future suggestion planning is add more variable like methodology, like result, about food hygiene, and microbiome tests. This is our reference that used for research. That's all. Thank you.